Two Dubai brokerages hired us in the same month. Similar problems, almost identical ad accounts. One fired us in 8 weeks, the other generated roughly 10 million dirhams in sales over a period of 6 months. And it had nothing to do with the advertising itself. By the end of the story, you'll know exactly which category you belong to. First one calls me in. They had an in-house performance marketer, and he had been running things for a while, but zero sales. This person had spent half a million in dirhams, and the leads were continuously coming in. Everyone was happy until they weren't. On Meta, the campaigns were unfiltered and running across the globe, with regions which would hardly make the purchase. It was a combination of instant forms, it was a combination of WhatsApp and even Messenger leads. All of these combined with no filter intact, they had spent a huge chunk of their budget on trying to get customers and trying to reach out people who would never actually convert. Then we opened up Google, and there the story was completely different. I mean, it was equally bad, but I'd say even worse. It was a broad match campaign, a search campaign running in similar regions, no negative keywords, all broad targeting, conversions coming in, but irrelevant conversions. So the search terms were really bad. Then I checked the landing pages. 7 seconds to load on desktop, 13 plus seconds on mobile. Yes. So they were not fixing the landing pages and they kept on running their campaigns on autopilot, on broad match, and they were getting irrelevant traffic, expensive leads, and just garbage all across. Combined lead quality across both platforms, 5%. Nobody in the room was lazy. They were actually quite happy with the number of leads coming in. And that's exactly the problem. Bad results, bad campaigns, they don't just outright say that they're bad. They keep you engaged until you start looking under the hood because the lead quantity is coming in. And as a business owner, as a brokerage owner, you eventually come to terms with the fact that, okay, lead quality is always this bad. Hardly 5% of the people are qualified, and maybe less than 1% of them would convert. That's not actually the case. So we took over, rebuilt the funnel, rebuilt the targeting, fixed the gaps, fixed the leaks. Month one, the first sale came in. The lead quality jumped up from 5% to 15%. By month two, they wanted it to increase to 40%. And I clearly said no. It's better to be honest than to randomly come up with numbers. See, 500,000 dirhams worth of wasted spend had already polluted the ad account. So what Meta was thinking was a quality lead wasn't actually a quality lead. And it takes its due time for you to improve that lead quality, to make the algorithm unlearn the bad data, is by giving it the right data, by putting in the loop. So it's not achievable. And for that reason, we said, okay, if that is what you're looking for, unfortunately, that's not something that we can do. As a result, they let us go. I said, okay, that's completely fine, completely understandable. On top of that, we were heading towards the holiday season, Q4, where the costs of advertising are typically almost always higher than the rest of the year. That combined with the 15% lead qualification ratio and their target of 40%, we ultimately decided to part ways. So they weren't stupid, they were impatient. And from the inside, impatience is what derives a business judgment that you think is good. But in actuality, it isn't. Same month, the second brokerage comes on board. Almost a similar scenario on paper. They had worked with multiple agencies in the past 3 years. And by this time, they had come to the conclusion that agencies aren't good for them. After all the money that they had spent over the past 3 years, they had zero sales. So we came in, and in month one, after spending 30,000 dirhams in sales, we had the first purchase. Now, this was one guy who bought not a single unit, but multiple units, resulting in a 3 million dirham deal. Now, this is the part of the story that really matters. Month two, nothing happened. Zero sales. But they still worked through it. The result? 6 months of working together, and they generated roughly 10 million dirhams in sales. So these people weren't impatient. They understood that buyers, especially real estate buyers, take their due time. They don't just immediately convert. If they do, that's luck. But the system in place enables you to ramp up the purchases over time. So instead of looking at a one-off sale, a one-off result, you look at things from a longer-term perspective. Almost everybody would love to get a 3 million dirham deal, and once they have it in their lap, they would, applaud you. But it's when no sales are coming in, that's where things are being pressure tested. So 2 brokerages, same market, equally poisoned accounts. Yet one walked off with nothing in their hands and the other had millions of dirhams in sales. The difference wasn't the budget, it was the same operator, it was the same team, it was the same strategy working across 2 ad accounts. And this is the part that people usually get wrong. With an inherited account, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from negative. And getting the algo to unlearn things takes significantly more time as compared to a fresh account. A fresh account has its own set of problems though. The initial CPLs are significantly high, but that's a side note. But in this context, keeping both the scenarios in mind, one walked off with nothing at all, a single sale, which could have grown to much higher had they kept the patience. The other one, because they understood how the market works and they trusted the process, they grew their sales tremendously. A high return on ad spend. Both of these brokerages had the same runway, but only one sat through it. So what do you actually measure in month one? Don't look at the sales that are going to come in, because they might or they might not. Ask them about search terms, ask them about the funnel, ask them about the negative keywords, ask them about the landing page performance, ask them about the components in between, ask them about what data is being used to train the algorithm about the right type of leads. If they don't have the answer to that, chances are month 2 is not going to be very different, and neither is month 6. If you're sitting at the end of month 2 right now with your finger on the cancel button, I can't tell you which of these 2 brokerages you are, but now you know what to look at and how to assess it.